Miami out here playing with matches. And apparently that's just what Miami's going to be doing. Miami's going to be that team that's just, they're going to play with fire. And we keep waiting on them to get burned. And they never get burned. It doesn't happen for them. They find a way to come back and go get a victory. I was astounded at just how it felt like this game went away from Duke, because Duke had the lead at 21-17 halftime. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe Malik Murphy has figured out something with Jonathan Brewer, the offensive coordinator at Duke, in the Manny Diaz Bowl. For those of y'all that don't know, Manny Diaz was head coach at Miami. They parted ways. Mario Cristobal got the job. But my favorite fact about Manny Diaz being a head coach in Miami is that his daddy was once the mayor of Miami. And I was like, well, that's a perfect place for you to be. And then he wasn't. So you get this game that's 21-17 at half. And then basically Cam Ward decides to put on the superhuman juice. He goes 25-41, 5 TDs, 400 yards passing in this game. But Xavier Restrepo went to number 1 in receiving yards and receptions at Miami in this game. He had 8 for 146, 3 TDs. Outstanding game from him. And it's not as if Malik Murphy played bad. He just didn't play well. He went 25-41 like Cam Ward for 325 with 3 TDs. Difference is Cam Ward threw 5 TDs and a pick. Malik Murphy went 3 TDs and 3 interceptions. That's just not going to get it done. Even as you got an outstanding game from Samir Hagans, who threw up the hooks at the after his first touchdown, only touchdown. 9 catches, 139 yards for him. Damian Martinez was mostly held in check by that defense. Thought that was really great. 11 rushes for 66 yards for him. But giving up 36 points in the second half. If you're Duke, you can't. How do you justify that? You lose this game 53-31. Meanwhile, Miami gets to stay in the top 5. They might end up being in the top 4 based on what has happened to Penn State and what we think about Georgia later on, and with teams being idle like Notre Dame, right? We'll find out just what the select committee thinks of Miami, because I got a hard time slotting Miami. Like, I don't think that they are 2022 Texas Christian, even though they keep playing with fire, because they look a little bit more talented than that. I think of 2022 Texas Christian being a lot like BYU or Iowa State this year. They're really playing above themselves, meaning we didn't expect them to be good this year. We didn't expect Iowa State to have an opportunity to move to 8-0 for the first time in school history, or Indiana to be able to move to 9-0 for just the third time in school history, or BYU being 9-0, we think, or 8-0, we think, for the first time since 1990, right? Second time since 1990, excuse me. Zach Wilson's COVID year was outstanding, and we should not forget that. Any place, anywhere, anybody. I get it. Miami, though, occupies this space where there were a handful of people, I was not one of them, who thought that Miami was going to be a top 10 team by the end of this. Top 25, sure. I could be talked into that easy. I know who Cam Ward is. I know who Xavier Restrepo is. And I think Shannon Dawson might end up winning the Broyles Award, given what this offense has been able to do with Cam Ward in it. I just didn't think that they'd be able to run through this schedule the way they've been able to, and frankly been down a bunch. Like, they're down against Cal on the road. They come back to win that game. The double-digit deficit just doesn't phase this team. And that's a really great tool to have if you got it. But it's not one you want to keep using. It's one you want to be able to pull out every now and again. And Duke is a good football team. They dropped to 6-3, but, they were 6-2 coming into this. I don't know that this Miami team can do this against Clemson, but I hope we get an opportunity to see that. But Southern Methodist and Pittsburgh going to have to figure out if they get a chance. Southern Methodist Pittsburgh is the late game tonight. It's low-key good. It's on the ACC network, so get there if you can. I'm going to be watching it because I'll rank teams, right? But Southern Methodist is undefeated in ACC play, and Pittsburgh is undefeated, period. And I think this is going to be a really good gauge of just which one of those programs is for real. And we're going to have some figuring to do. Pittsburgh's got a tough road to get to the ACC title game, and we expect SMU, if they get past, they're going to have an opportunity to do that too. Again, Clemson, their only loss is to Georgia, and Georgia beat them 34-3. Since then, the Clemson offense has not only found its momentum, it has looked like one of the best offenses in football. Again, the ACC has become extremely fascinating, as has the Big 12, because you got BYU, you got Iowa State, you got Kansas State, and you got Colorado, right? Those feel like the teams that are going to be up for this thing, right? We'll see what Texas Tech can muster a little bit later on today. I'm looking at it, man. I think it's going to be on. Also, Vanderbilt looks like they're going to hold on 17-7 against Auburn, which At this point, you got to be looking at, okay, who else could we get to be a head coach at Auburn, because it ain't working with the Hugh Freeze era. It's just not. It's not going to be. It's not. Haven't been any fun. On the way out here, right quick, Oklahoma gets the win against Maine. It was 7-7 at one point, and I'm watching this game on the ESPN Plus, and I'm going, I only see fire. But Oklahoma ends up getting the 665 yards of offense, 203 yards rushing from Javonte Barnes. I was looking for a 300-yard passing game from Jackson Arnold. Still can't get one of those, apparently. We don't do that no more. We just going to be running the football, playing defense. But getting to 5-4 means that bowl eligibility is very much on the menu. Probably can beat that Missouri team. I'm not so sure about Bama and LSU, but we'll find out, right? So get to that 6 win against Missouri, and then we'll see. But I'll have more to say about Oklahoma and Maine because Maine, please collect your money and don't put money in the bag. Like let us get this win in. They were like, yeah, cool. You're going to stomp a mud hole in us and walk it dry. It's fine. If you like the show, please remember to subscribe to the channel. We upload every single day. We do live shows after big games on Saturdays like Ohio State, Penn State today. And we do shows on Sunday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll do shows after the selection committee puts out its rankings on Tuesdays for the rest of the season. This is a season unlike any other we have seen. We're seeing first, going to see a 12-team playoff. We have Power 4, now Power 5. Army is still undefeated, even though they didn't have Bryson Daly. Lot to discuss on the rest of the after the afternoon slate and into the night. But that is going to do it for this particular episode of the #1 College Football Show. And I will see y'all a little bit later on. Deuces.